Federal District Judge Aileen Cannon's decision on Tuesday to block the release of Special Counsel Jack Smith's final report on investigations into President-elect Donald Trump highlights a significant legal and procedural development. The ruling effectively halts Smith and the Justice Department from publishing the report, underscoring the weight of the emergency motion filed by Trump's co-defendants. By intervening, Judge Cannon ensures that the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has the opportunity to review the motion before any further steps are taken, reflecting the intricate balance between judicial oversight and the urgency of public disclosure in high-profile cases. The recent developments surrounding Special Counsel Jack Smith's final report have brought a heightened level of complexity to the legal battle. Amid a surge of filings late Monday and early Tuesday, lawyers representing Donald Trump reviewed a draft of the report and threatened legal action against the Justice Department if it proceeds with its release. This legal maneuver underscores the contentious nature of the investigations into the president-elect and the high stakes involved. Notably, former Trump aides Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira have joined the fray, formally requesting Judge Aileen Cannon to block the report's release. Both men, who have pleaded not guilty to obstruction-related charges, argue that Smith lacks the authority to release the report, citing Cannon's earlier ruling that his appointment as special counsel was unlawful. This argument not only challenges Smith's jurisdiction but also raises broader questions about the limits of prosecutorial authority in politically charged investigations, especially as the president-elect prepares for a second term. The legal filings further deepen the conflict over Special Counsel Jack Smith's authority and the contentious nature of the investigation into President-elect Donald Trump. A letter from Trump's attorneys to Attorney General Merrick Garland, included in the court filings, revealed that the defense team was permitted to review the 2-volume draft report at Smith's office between January 3 and January 6, 2025. This level of access, while unusual, underscores the transparency Smith's team may have attempted to demonstrate. However, Trump's attorneys, two of whom have been tapped for key Justice Department roles in the incoming administration, used this opportunity to strengthen their legal position. Their demand for advance notice of the report's release signals a strategic effort to control the narrative and prepare for potential legal challenges. Meanwhile, the defense attorneys echoed these arguments in filings submitted to the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which is weighing the Justice Department's appeal against Judge Aileen Cannon's earlier ruling that deemed Smith's appointment unconstitutional. These filings highlight a coordinated legal strategy aimed at undermining Smith's authority, while leveraging procedural rulings to delay or prevent the release of the report. The case not only spotlights the intersection of legal procedure and political strategy, but also raises fundamental questions about the balance of power between the judiciary and the executive in politically charged investigations. The defense lawyers' assertion that their limited access review of the draft report exposed a one-sided narrative illustrates their strategy to frame the special counsel's findings as biased and prosecutorially driven. By emphasizing the perceived lack of balance in the report, they aim to discredit its conclusions and preemptively cast doubt on the government's case against their clients. This argument not only challenges the report's content but also raises broader questions about the fairness of investigative processes in high-profile legal cases. Attorney General Merrick Garland's stated intent to share the report with Congress, subject to Justice Department redaction policies, adds another layer of complexity. While Garland's approach suggests a commitment to transparency, the mandatory redactions, especially regarding the two co-defendants, Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira, highlight the tension between public disclosure and the preservation of fair trial rights. These redactions, required to avoid prejudicing ongoing cases, reflect the Justice Department's attempt to balance competing priorities, maintaining the integrity of the judicial process while addressing public and legislative demand for accountability. This delicate balancing act underscores the broader challenges of navigating politically charged legal battles in a highly polarized environment. A separate overnight court filing from Special Counsel Jack Smith's office sheds light on the evolving timeline for finalizing and releasing the highly anticipated report. According to the filing, the report would not be handed over to Attorney General Merrick Garland until at least 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, with a potential public release delayed until Friday morning at the earliest. This timeline suggests that the special counsel's office is navigating procedural and logistical considerations, possibly in response to mounting legal challenges from Trump and his co-defendants. Smith's team further noted that the Attorney General had yet to decide on the handling of the report's volume specific to this case, revealing ongoing discussions between the parties at the time the defense motion was filed. The filing indicates that the report is structured into 2 volumes, one likely addressing the documents case and the other focused on the January 6 related federal charges against Trump. This dual focus underscores the breadth of Smith's investigation and its attempt to comprehensively address distinct but interconnected legal issues. The cautious approach to the report's release, coupled with its segmented structure, highlights the complexity of balancing transparency with legal strategy. It also reflects the Justice Department's efforts to manage public expectations while mitigating the potential impact on ongoing cases. This meticulous handling underscores the political and legal sensitivities surrounding one of the most high-profile investigations in modern U.S. history. Federal regulations governing the Special Counsel's office grant the Attorney General significant discretion over decisions regarding the release of investigative reports, making Merrick Garland the pivotal figure in determining the timing and scope of public disclosures. This framework reflects the Justice Department's desire to maintain control over sensitive legal matters while balancing transparency concerns. In a filing made Tuesday evening, Smith's office signaled its intent to elaborate further on its position, underscoring the strategic maneuvers taking place as the legal process unfolds. However, the defense attorneys expressed clear dissatisfaction with the level of redactions in the draft report they had reviewed. Their objections indicated deepening frustration with both the substance and the procedural handling of the investigation, as they continue to challenge the fairness of the process. The urgency of the situation is evident in the defense's request for an emergency hearing, along with a demand for the 11th Circuit to make a ruling by Friday. This rush to resolution highlights the legal and political stakes as the deadline approaches. The timing of the dispute is particularly significant, coming less than 2 weeks before Trump's inauguration, at which point his newly appointed Justice Department officials, many of whom are drawn from his criminal defense team, will assume control over the investigation. This shift adds an additional layer of complexity to the already fraught legal battle, raising questions about the future trajectory of the case. The push to block the report's release is more than just a legal challenge. It's part of Trump's broader strategy to undermine the credibility and authority of the Special Counsel's office. This latest move aligns with his consistent attacks on the institution, positioning the Special Counsel's work as an obstacle to his political ambitions. The dispute, therefore, is not merely a legal one, but also a high-stakes contest for control over the narrative as the country prepares for a new presidential term. The defense team's vigorous efforts to block the release of the Special Counsel's report seem part of a broader trend of heightened scrutiny of high-profile investigations. When comparing this situation to those of recent special counsels, such as Robert Hur, John Durham, and Robert Mueller, it becomes clear that their finalized reports were released to the public with far less resistance. In their respective cases, whether it was over criminal charges brought or decisions not to pursue charges, particularly in the instances of Trump and Joe Biden, the reports faced minimal opposition from the defense. This contrast draws attention to the uniquely contentious nature of the current investigation, especially given the political and personal stakes for those involved. Judge Aileen Cannon's dismissal of the case against Trump and his co-defendants this past summer further complicates the legal landscape. However, the Justice Department's appeal of Cannon's ruling, asserting that Smith's appointment was unconstitutional, continues to shape the unfolding legal drama. This dispute over the constitutionality of Smith's appointment adds an additional layer of tension, as it represents a direct challenge to the authority of the Special Counsel's office. Moreover, the decision to drop Trump from the case after his re-election, following the prosecutor's request, marks another shift in the prosecution's approach. As a result, the cases against Trump's former associates, Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira, have been transferred to the U.S. Attorney's Office in South Florida. This handoff reflects a strategic move, suggesting that the investigation's focus has narrowed, but it also raises questions about how much influence Trump's legal and political entanglements may continue to exert on the trajectory of the cases. Ultimately, the contrast between the handling of this investigation and those of prior special counsels underscores not only the highly charged political atmosphere surrounding Trump, but also the unprecedented nature of the challenges facing the Justice Department as it navigates a case involving a former president. The defense's efforts to block the report's release, therefore, are not just about shielding individuals from legal exposure. They are also deeply intertwined with broader questions of institutional legitimacy, accountability, and the future of prosecutorial independence. Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira's legal argument on Monday underscored their growing concern that the release of the special counsel's report could irreparably harm their defense. Citing the potential for the criminal prosecution to be revived, the two men contended that making the report public would, irreversibly and irredeemably, prejudice their standing as defendants. Their objection is not only a strategic move to protect their legal interests, but also highlights the broader tension between the government's desire for transparency and the defendant's right to a fair trial. The defense pointed to the ongoing protective order, which restricts what they can publicly say about the discovery material provided to them by the government. This order further complicates their ability to fully counter the report's content, creating an asymmetry in the legal process. Given that they are strictly precluded from refuting the report, the defense argues that releasing it would unfairly tilt the scales of justice against them, preventing them from mounting a fully effective challenge to the allegations. Their statement that the final report is meant to serve as a government verdict raises significant constitutional concerns. It frames the report not merely as a document of legal findings but as a public declaration of guilt, contrary to criminal justice norms that emphasize the presumption of innocence and the right to contest charges in court. This argument taps into larger debates about the potential dangers of making prosecutorial materials public before trial, particularly in politically charged cases where the court of public opinion can be just as consequential as the court of law. By framing the release of the report as a violation of their constitutional rights, Nata and de Oliveira are making a bold assertion that extends beyond the legal technicalities of their case. Their argument touches on the very principles of fairness and due process, questioning whether releasing the report would unduly influence the legal proceedings and distort the presumption of innocence. These points elevate the dispute from a procedural disagreement to a broader debate about the integrity of the justice system itself.